Welcome to day 3 of the Mindfulness Challenge. Over the first couple of days, we've been cultivating the practice of breath awareness, sound awareness, body awareness, and been talking about some of the key factors to cultivating a strong mindfulness practice. Today, I just want to start with speaking briefly on resistance. Most of us, most humans, resist and avoid and try to escape from physical, mental, or emotional pain. And in that escaping, often the suffering becomes greater. And the wisdom of mindfulness would say that once we acknowledge and notice whatever arises, and we accept it and actually turn it almost to the point of welcoming, which actually is the key, is to really almost allow experiences to come as you've chose them almost. So that when a negative emotion or a thought or an experience happens, noticing the resistance to that experience and allowing it to arise and having that kind, compassionate attention will actually transform it and allow it to dissipate. Often I use the snowball image, right? That maybe a few little rolls, and you can use those as emotions, sadness or anger or fear. And as that snowball starts to roll down the hill, it gets bigger and bigger. And at a certain point, it gets so big that it explodes, right? And so in mindfulness, the earlier we catch those emotions with awareness, it will dissolve and melt away the snow so that the ball can't get that big. So we don't flip our lid, or so we don't react in a way that doesn't benefit us and others. So today, as we sit in stillness, let's cultivate that awareness that really resistance or experiences that we normally try to avoid, we want to turn into and lean into with compassion and kindness. So allow yourself to find that dignified and relaxed posture, on your cushion or on your chair, allowing the spine to be straight, the shoulders drop down, and the heart to the sky, and gently closing those eyes. Allowing yourself to fully arrive and welcome this present moment. And let's start with our senses today. So starting with the sense of touch, noticing the contact points, both between the skin and between fabric. Noticing our sit bones or our legs, wherever they may be touching. If we're sitting on a chair, noticing if our back is touching the back of the chair, or if we're on the cushion, noticing if our legs are contacting in different areas of the legs, and then how our legs might be contacting the floor, or the feet touching the floor. And checking into our hands and the place that they contact our body, or maybe even are contacting each other. And then shift away from touch and bring attention to sensation of sight. Even with those eyelids closed, notice the patterns and colors and intonations you can see through the eyelids. The yellows, the browns, the oranges. You might see shapes. And now gently turning attention into sound, letting the ears just catch sounds as they come without needing to go out and get them. Noticing sounds and from which direction they're coming from. Noticing if they're foreground sounds or background sounds, or any sounds in between. And allowing sounds to go in the background of attention. And noticing smell. As you inhale, is there any fragrance in the air? And if there's no fragrance that you can really smell, is there a temperature on the inhale, a cooler air, and a warmer air on the exhale at the nostrils? And now moving to the sense of taste. Maybe you ate something recently. You might have some leftover taste in your mouth. You might notice if the mouth is moist or dry. Maybe notice where the tongue is, if it's on the roof of the mouth or on the bottom of the mouth. So much of the time we're so lost in thought that we don't tune into our senses. So this practice that we just did, really just come back to your senses throughout your day-to-day activities. Allow yourself to see things as if they're brand new, because they are, and allow yourself to hear without judgment. When you eat, to allow yourself to really taste the food in each chew, and so on and so forth. Now moving from awareness of our senses, let's come into our breath. Invite this next inhale, the space in between and the exhale. And just check the quality of your attention, the quality of your mind right now. No judgment, no worries if it's highly distracted and thought is coming over and over and over again. We just notice it and gently come back, kind and compassionate attention. Or if the physical sensations are calling our attention, we notice, we allow it to be there. We might even breathe into it, stay with it for a little bit, make a mental note. Discomfort, 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 and then come back to breath. Breathing in, breathing out. Finding the spot where the breath is most prominent, your anchor spot. Just keeping your attention, that physical sensation of breath. If you're at your stomach, noticing the rise and the fall. If you're at the chest, the expansion and contraction. Or if you're right at your nose, the sensation of breath flowing in, cooler, and coming out warmer. Fully arriving in the here and now, over and over and over again. As many small glimpses of attention and awareness cultivated over and over and over again will become a long and deeply connected awareness of the present moment. The breath is the foundation, that which we can always come back to. No matter how chaotic or rigid the experience might be, allowing ourselves to find the breath, we can come back into integration. We can allow the parasympathetic nervous system to really get activated and find relaxation. Breathing in, breathing out. Nowhere to go, nothing to do, just be here now. Allow yourself to come into counting breaths. Invite curiosity to see how your attention can be with the inhale, exhale, and how many breaths in a row we can stay with. And when we find distraction, we just gently come back kindly to 0 and try again. You may start now. This inhale, the space in between, and then this exhale. And just repeating. And remembering that each breath is different. So bring that beginner's mind. And the second we find ourselves in distraction, no judgment, just noticing, observing, and coming back to 0. And allowing the counting of breath to just go back to the natural breath. And the only thing we want to find is curiosity. Where am I now? Where is my attention? What are my patterns of distraction? And remembering that the mind loves to think. And so that is not a problem. The only issue is that we have to cultivate awareness, because oftentimes our thoughts are in the future or in the past, and they overwhelm our system so that really we can't even fully be present. That the river of thought is so strong that we get caught in the thinking of whatever is arising, but the next thing we know, 5-10 minutes later, we have no idea how we got there, but we're in a whole different thought. So we just want to notice thinking as it arises and be with it, and then know that we can redirect it. So here, let's bring mental activity back into attention. So here again, just noticing which thoughts are arising, how often they're arising, how much space there is in between. So keeping attention on your thinking, allowing it to just be, and noticing if it changes. So what is this thought that just arose? Is it a future thought? We can even start naming it, mental note, future thinking, future thinking, future thinking. Or is it a past thought? Do the same. Or is it present? Is it thought about how this feels right now, to be in the body, to be in stillness? Allowing thoughts to arise, noticing what type of thought they are, and then letting it go like clouds floating by in the sky, and waiting for the next thought to arise. We can notice if the thinking is judgmental, it's critical. And if it doesn't serve us, we just notice what it is and let it go, and come back. Maybe we need a breath or two, or tune into our body and see if there's a certain emotional charge. Check where the emotional charge might be. It might be in the stomach, the chest, in the head. And if the emotions start to arise, because inevitably they do, thoughts connect to emotions, emotions connect to thoughts, we can then just notice the emotion without attaching ourselves. We can, what we call, name it to tame it. We can name the emotion as it arises. Fear, fear, fear. Or joy, joy, joy. And just naming it and creating a healthy space from understanding that we are not our thoughts, we are not our emotions, we are not our experiences. That beyond that, we're true awareness. And that the things that we think, that we feel, the emotional charges that there are just part of being human, and that there isn't a good or bad way of thinking or feeling. Just full acceptance of whatever arises. So noticing again the emotional state that you're in, giving yourself that freedom of space to understand that emotions run through all humans. We're not isolated, we're very connected. And if emotions or thoughts become overwhelming, we can come back to breath or sound or the body. Anything that can create an opportunity to come back in the present moment, knowing that the here and now is all we really have. So just tuning in to finish today's sit, noticing if the body feels any different after the last 15, 16 minutes. If mental activity has changed, if the emotions have transformed, if thoughts are coming more often or less often, if certain thoughts about the future have dissolved or thoughts about the past have come up. And just noticing, again, checking in as often as we can throughout our day, in stillness or actually just in our regular activities. How do I feel physically? How do I feel emotionally? And how do I feel mentally? And in that checking in, no judgment, full acceptance, welcoming all experiences as if we chose them. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. And just repeating in your head, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be peaceful, may I be filled with love. And aiming that at either an individual or all beings. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be filled with love. And then just gently holding yourself in that deep self-compassion, that unconditional love for that unique, authentic, true self that resides